My name is Emma Crawford. I'm going into 11th grade at Samuel High, where I'm heavily involved in the music program. I play oboe in the symphony orchestra and wind ensemble and flute in the marching band. So when I heard that the music enrollment was going down, I was really concerned. As part of this project, I created a website that includes information about how to choose an instrument and resources for beginning musicians, and I will put the link in the chat box. Here we have three local educators that will be making short presentations and speaking about all the great benefits and opportunities in music. Feel free to ask questions in the chat box as we go, and we will do our best to answer them at the end. So first we have Ann Wilson.
Hi, I'm a public librarian. I'm a children's librarian at the Santa Monica Public Library, and I have been a children's librarian for almost 15 years. And I use a lot of music in my story times and in my programs at the library. And the reason I do that is because music provides essential pre-reading skills and that are activated by music and by rhythm. So using those activities meets part of what is my job is to help support reading readiness and readiness for kindergarten and early language development. And the best way to do this is really through music. So I did a lot of research on this to support my wanting to use music in the library in story times. A lot of my, but I want to make sure I share everything. And I found there's been a lot of research actually on it, and I found that using music and rhythm actually helps lay the foundation for reading readiness, and it sensitizes children to the sounds of language, which helps them develop their language skills. And it actually is a predictor of later success in reading. So we in library work in our story times and in our education with especially preschool children. We work on 6 early literacy skills, and 2 of those, vocabulary and what's called phonological awareness, are really activated well by music and rhythm activities. And phonological awareness is really basically the ability to hear and play with the smaller sounds in words. And of course, that's perfect for music because when children hear music and play music and use music, they are hearing the smaller beats and they come to realize that words too are made of smaller beats that we call syllables. And this helps them develop their early language skills. Um, I also just wanted to say that some of the ways that you can do this um, in the home, it doesn't matter if you can sing, or hold a tune, using any kind of music, right from babies right on up to use shakers, piano, singing, beating on a drum, and of course, the earlier you can get a child into some actual music education classes, the better. I had the great good fortune of growing up here in Santa Monica, and in the schools, they always had music classes. And I came from a musical family, so we were always singing and playing instruments. And it's very, very important. And I didn't realize until I became a librarian and wanted to bring my love of music into my work that I was actually doing what I should be doing as a librarian. And I try to educate parents and caregivers about this too, about how important it is, whether you feel comfortable with your singing voice or not, or whether you can play an instrument well or not, is to get your music into your child's life. And that's basically my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions afterwards about how you can do that at home or anything else about the research that I've just studied. That's that's basically my message, and it's so essential to language development to be using music.
Thank you. So now here is Dr. Marshall, the Executive and Artistic Director of the Elemental Music Programs.
Thank you so much, Emma. As she mentioned, I'm the executive and artistic director for Elemental Music. We're a nonprofit here in Santa Monica. We offer after-school music ensemble programs for 3rd through 5th graders in our elementary level, and we also have a few programs that include middle school students as well. So I loved listening to everything that Anne was saying. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old at home, and so music education takes on a completely different lens these days because it's not just teaching other people's children, but I've recently started teaching my own children, and it really shines a light into what a huge difference learning music makes in a child's life. And so I have just a few brief slides, and I'll keep it short. Let me see here. I'm going to share. So as you can see, I mean, the big question is why music education? I mean, Anne was so wonderful in sharing the explanations for why it's important for exposure, but the next level beyond that exposure part is definitely how to get students started and why that's important. Suzuki method for many instruments can start as young as 2 or 3 years old, but that's certainly not a requirement. Many students start in school here in Santa Monica. The music programs generally start for elementary school in 3rd grade with general music, and then they get to pick an instrument or sing in the choir starting in 4th grade. So it's really great for us to take a look at why learning music at a young age makes a huge difference. And one of the really key things is that it teaches children how to learn. I mean, they are obviously learning that process through every step of what they do in school and in life. But when you have a brand new skill that you're learning, you have to take it all the way back to the very, very beginning, to the building blocks. And it's almost like teaching an infant how to stand before they learn how to walk, and how they walk before they run, although some kids learn how to run before they can walk. But that process of breaking things down and then building things up is so key. And when you are going through that process, learning a musical instrument, and especially if you do it over many years, that actually seeps into a child's ability to learn anything. In addition to that, it's the processing of criticism. I mean, many of us adults still cringe when we get a performance review or something like that. But for music students, when you are taking weekly classes or you're taking weekly lessons, you are constantly taking in criticism, and you have to learn how to process that criticism and turn that into something that helps you get better. So for many music students, the ability to separate criticism and how to and receiving instruction helps them learn how to take criticism in other parts of their life and to build on that, rather than letting it tear them down, that it doesn't become a weight, but it actually helps lift them up. Learning a musical instrument, you have to learn how to prioritize and multitask. You can't, especially as a string player, you've got 2 hands that are learning totally different things, right? So you've got the left hand that is learning about finger placement and the speed, and often even finger position, whereas the right hand is using the bow, and it's going in a different direction. And so it triggers how your brain processes the mechanism of multitasking and how to prioritize. Right now, something is difficult on this hand, or something is difficult on that hand. And that goes for not just string players, but for all of the instruments, that there are specific technical challenges that come with every instrument. And the process of learning those instruments helps young minds really learn how to prioritize to get to the next level. It also helps teach a lot of discipline. My girls, I mean, in some ways, I'm a terrible music mom, because if I'm really busy that day, my daughter might not get to practice. But she knows that if she wants to get better, she does need to put in time every single day. And so whether it's through sports, but certainly through music, it's that day by day discipline, that regularity and consistency that really helps. But learning music is not just about all of these heavy-handed ideas. It's also about teaching children how to have more creativity and how to increase their socio-emotional learning. I'm working on we have a 6-week summer session right now, and I've been teaching this musical adventures class. What we've been doing is listening to music. We're talking about what the origins of these pieces are and the inspiration behind the music. And then our students are listening to the music at home and drawing pictures based on what they're listening to. And it's been so amazing because I'm hearing from parents that they're watching their children sit there and listen in a different way than they normally do, because they have a specific goal for what they're trying to think about. And they have, they're thinking about how they want to portray this music on the page. Definitely the process of being patient and working through your challenges is something that you get from learning music. And it starts from the very beginning and it lasts well into adulthood as amateur and professional musicians. And I know that Ms. Wu is probably going to speak to this too, that learning a musical instrument helps you academically. It is not just this art form, but it's this art form that requires math, and it requires physics, and it requires understanding spatial relationships. Oftentimes, music students really excel in math in part because they're learning about fractions from the very, very beginning of their music education. And just a few other things, learning to play a musical instrument helps create confidence. Students feel so good when they perform. They might get really nervous, but each time that they do, they know, oh, I can conquer my fears, and I can showcase new skills that I've learned. Especially in this day when we're all locked up at home from the pandemic, music is a source of stress relief, and it's a source of connection that we have with others, whether we're listening to music or we're making music. Music fosters a sense of community from listening as well as from playing. Think about all of the experiences that you have attending a concert. And we've had the pleasure this last year of actually taking our children to go hear the LA Philharmonic for the first time. I mean, they've heard music in the house from the time they were before they could remember anything. But to sit there in a hall surrounded by thousands of other people and to share in that moment is very, very unique, and it brings about a different kind of awareness in what the world is like. Music is a really wonderful way for us to think about human connectivity. And finally, for most of us who are lucky enough to get to play in ensembles, especially when we are able to meet in person, learning how to play a musical instrument really is a chance to collaborate and to feel like you're part of a team. So all of these things are such great reasons why it's important to have your children learning musical instruments. It may be that they don't play forever. It could be that they just play through middle school or high school, but even just a few years of music education will change the way that they look at the entire world. One of the things that I love about what we do is that because our programs are mostly ensemble programs, we see these friendships grow from students from different schools who come together week by week, and they grow so much as musicians, but they also grow as friends. Ms. Wu probably recognizes quite a few of these faces. This is from a couple of years ago. And music, scientifically, they've shown it changes the brain. It lights up parts of the brain in ways that other activities don't. So many things are happening when we listen to music and when we play music. It is unlike anything else that the human brain experiences. So I just want to follow up with what Anne said. There are ways for us to plant the seed before you even get to playing an instrument. And I can speak to this from personal experience because my children are still relatively young, and I know from experience what a huge difference these things have made. We have our radio on all the time. Most of the time it's on classical music, but often it's on something else. And it's the exposure. It's having that awareness that that is a part of life. And if you hear something that you really love, or there's a moment in the music that creates a different kind of emotion. It's helping teach your children how to listen and hear things beyond just the sound, right? That music doesn't require us to speak the same language for us to feel something together. And so it's that socio emotional learning that we can actually encourage from a very young age, even before students start to listen or start to be able to play. And as I had mentioned, with our summer session, using music as a gateway to expanding their imagination is so much fun, right? You can listen to a piece of music. Think about all of the movie scores that you know. You hear the theme from Harry Potter, and you can see the owl floating, flying around the castle. And music evokes so many memories and so many vivid feelings. And so allowing your children to let their imaginations run wild while they listen to music or watching videos. I mean, we live in a day now where you can access everything on YouTube. It's such a great way to get children excited about music before they even necessarily think, oh, I want to learn how to play. That part of it is planting the seed and getting them excited about what they hear. And here in LA, we're so lucky. I mean, once life, which will eventually go back to normal. I mean, we have access to the Hollywood Bowl during the summers. We have concerts all over Southern California. The chance to go to live music is unlike anything else. And when we are all able to do that again, I cannot recommend it enough that it's never too young to bring children to hear live music. So that's what I have. And I will pass this back to Emma.
Thank you. So now here is Miss Wu, the Director of Instrumental Music at John Adams Middle School.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much to Emma for creating this project and bringing awareness to our community, which I feel so grateful. I did my student teaching in Santa Monica many years ago and was exposed to what a proper curriculum looks like because of it's so inclusive of music, and our community at large really understands how important music is. And as Anne and Josephine were talking, I started to flash back when I was a kid, and I was very shy, terribly shy. But I remember being drawn by the power of music, and that was the way that I would communicate with my teachers or my friends. I would, kind of hum. I remember humming Sesame Street, and learning the language and the phonetics of the Electric Company. And, music was just always such a building block and a fundamental. And so I'm so grateful to be a part of a district that has the sequential, from third grade all the way to high school. And I hope Emma might talk just a little bit about her experiences when she left middle school, what she's doing now. But I do want to just talk a little bit about looking forward once our third graders reach fourth grade, fifth grade, and then into middle school. So I have a few slides, and let me see if I can share my screen with you. Okay. Can we see? Yes? Okay. All right. So I am the Director of Instrumental Music at John Adams Middle School, and I team teach with Sean Garnwriter, and we direct 3 orchestras and 3 bands. There is a place for everyone. We have a colleague, Mrs. Cecile Blanchard, who's our Director of Vocal Music. And so we have at John Adams, and I can speak also if you are a parent in the Lincoln pathway, both schools are very similar in their approach and their structure of the music program. But it's a very rigorous curriculum. We're really proud of what we have to offer. Just to give you an idea of what a 6th grade schedule looks like, there's a humanities class, which is 2 periods, and that's basically English and history. And they have the same teacher for that class. There's a math class, there's a science class, there's physical education, and then an elective. And the elective can be band, orchestra, choir, or art, or engineering. So that's a typical 6th grade structure. In our music program, we have experiences for our students in both large ensemble and small group. We are so fortunate to our Santa Monica Education Foundation, who provides and sponsors a weekly coaching program, so that our students can get small group lessons, all the trumpets one day or all the cellos one day, and then we put everybody all together. We generally meet as a large class, and so our students get those opportunities. And then we perform. And if you are familiar with the John Adams campus, we're in the middle of a big construction project. We're very excited about our Performing Arts Center. And so we've been using the Santa Monica High School Barnum Hall facilities for the last 5 years. And I've been so grateful to be able to do that. But on the left is a snapshot of our intermediate orchestra, and on the right is our advanced band, the wind ensemble. So everybody gets our opportunities to perform in both the Lincoln Pathways and the Jams Pathway. Very active. So in addition to what Josephine and Anne have shared, we talk about music in the academic world as a coexisting element with the other curricular areas. So the U.S. Department of Education surveyed about 25,000 secondary school students, and they found that students who report consistently high levels of involvement in their instrumental music activities over their middle and high school years show significantly higher levels of math by grade 12. So this research has been done for many, many, many years, but there is a correlation between math and music. In addition, and this was really surprising to me when I saw this, music majors in college are the most likely group of graduates to be admitted to medical school. So 66% of the music majors versus 44% of biochem majors. And Dr. Joe had referred to this, that when you play an instrument, you really have to be multitasking. You know, you're constantly thinking about not just the physical demands, but responding and reacting to what you hear and planning and thinking ahead. So it's such a multitasking activity. In addition, about 7,500 university students this study revealed that music majors scored the highest reading scores amongst all majors, including English and biology and chemistry and math. So it goes back to what Anne was saying about the connection with literacy. Music really does permeate into the language skills and the math skills at a very, very young age. So we're really lucky in Santa Monica, in our district, that we have general music for all of our third graders. I've been teaching in the classroom for nearly 30 years, just finished my 28th year, I can't believe it. But I can attest to the fact that arts involvement teaches children many skills, life skills, necessary to succeed, including problem solving, decision making, building self-confidence and self-discipline, the ability to imagine what might be and to accept responsibility for it. Teaches them about teamwork, teaches them how to develop an informed perception and to articulate a vision. It builds creativity and imagination. And again, I was so shy and I was not comfortable using my words, but I was very comfortable, getting up on the piano or grabbing the violin and just, being immersed in the world of music. So the life skills are shaped at an early age through music as well. Music is the only subject matter that provides a collaborative artistic experience by celebrating the diverse and multifaceted backgrounds of individual musicians. We take everyone It doesn't matter what their background is, it doesn't matter what their proficiency level is. The instrument doesn't know who's playing. It could be a boy or a girl. It doesn't know, gender or ethnicity or, socioeconomic. It's unconditional. And so it is such a joy to be able to bring students from every background together to make something beautiful. And again, Josephine had touched on this. Music enhances the innate desire for humans to make connections with one another, and especially during this time, the last 3 months of the school year was really very wrenching for music teachers. And I will tell you, there were really, some dark days where both Mr. Garnwriter and I, we had to kind of pull each other up. And the first thought when we closed our classrooms was, oh my gosh, our concert. That's the culmination of all of our work from the year. And when we went to distance learning, it was like teaching a goldfish, in its bowl, and you had all of these little bowls in the room, and we could see each other, but not being able to interact with each other in the same shared space. So this is the gift of music, right here. I have a few other slides that I can just very quickly go through. This is one of our 6th graders from Rogers, and one of our rising sophomores from John Muir, and very proud of Jordan, who I believe is going to enter her senior year. Is that right, Dr. Joe? At MIT?
I believe that's right. She was also the valedictorian her year that she
Yes.
graduated from SAMO.
Very talented violinist, and she's in the orchestra, I believe, at MIT.
Mm-hmm.
And then just graduated Carlos Bustos from Stanford. He was one of our Edison kiddos, viola player. Just so amazing. And then this PowerPoint is actually on our website, and I had this short little clip from First Lady Michelle Obama. The arts are a necessity, and I just love that. And it's a brief clip. If you have a moment to see that, I highly recommend that. But if you have any questions, not just specific to John Adams, but about middle school and the music curriculum, our contact information is right there, as well as our website address. So, okay. And so I will bring back to Emma.
Thank you. So a little bit about my experience in the SMMUSD music programs. I started on piano in 1st grade, and then I started flute in school in 4th grade. Then in 6th grade, I was looking for something that was a little bit less competitive, a little more specialized. So I started oboe in my 6th grade year in the John Adams music conversion class. I continued to play in 2 ensembles for the rest of middle school. Then in 8th grade, I chose to make oboe my main instrument. In 9th grade, I got into the wind ensemble group and the symphony orchestra group. As a freshman, I got the opportunity to travel to Rome, Italy to perform with my band. This year, symphony orchestra was supposed to travel to Amsterdam and Germany. We didn't get the chance to do that, but it would have been an amazing opportunity. This just goes to show that music has given me so many opportunities and means so much to me. I've gained so much from the music programs here, and I just want to share that with others. So I have a short video about choosing an instrument that I would like to share, which is also on my website, if you would like to share it with your children. This is Ryan. Ryan is in 3rd grade, so he has to choose an instrument. After listening to all the instruments at www.instrumentinvestigation.weebly.com, Ryan really likes the bassoon. But oh no, the bassoon is taller than he is. Instead, Ryan can play flute or clarinet, which are most similar to the bassoon. So when Ryan grows, he can play bassoon. This is Kayla. When she first chose an instrument, she chose the trumpet. When she gets to 5th grade, she doesn't like how competitive the trumpet is. She wants to start a new instrument. She goes to an orchestra performance. She loves how the French horns sound. She starts playing French horn in her 6th grade music class. Right, that's all. So if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat box or you can just speak up and we will do our best to answer. All right, if there's no questions, that's all we have. Thank you so much for coming.